every single game seems to be white knuckle all the way down the stretch and just back and forth.
No, it is true. I do. If I had hair, I would be pulling it out. But I give our guys credit. They're really trying to do what we're asking them to do. Also, too, I got to take ownership in it. I wasn't good early on because I'm still learning the team. I didn't really have a feel of who to put on the floor. I put guys on the floor, but I wasn't always confident about it because I didn't know. I didn't know the group. I didn't know how they would respond with the lights on and 2 minutes to go in a tight ball game. And so we're all learning and growing together, and we're learning each other. We're learning how to execute offensively. We're finding ways to get stops, and as long as we keep trending upwards, which we're doing, and again, every once in a while we'll take a dip, and we'll live with that because if we take a dip with the way these guys are working and how together they are, we won't dip for long. But as long as we keep trending upwards, include myself and my staff, then I think we'll get better in these types of situations. But like I said, versus a good team, it feels good to get one.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Kings Court, presented to you by SactownRoyalty.com and sponsored by RateCrushers.com. To start the show, thought I would let you guys hear a little bit of Mike Brown post-game and just his thoughts on this team consistently being in these very tight games. And James asked him the question, like, are you pulling your hair out, if you had any, that the Kings are in these moments where it comes down to the final shot, comes down to a final play. And he's open and honest. He's talking about how he's still learning this roster. He's still learning rotations. And I think it's pretty obvious that that is the case. And this is why it was something that I continuously bring up every time I talk about this team, which is they haven't truly built an identity yet on who they are and what they are when they step on the court. And it could be what Mike Brown said, where it's just, I still have to learn these guys. I still have to figure out what it is I'm going to be doing, who I'm going to be playing with in these final 2 minutes of games and in certain stretches of games. And he even spoke a little bit about Harrison Barnes and how he had been struggling with finding him the consistent minutes and putting him in for 2-minute stretches, 3-minute stretches with different types of looks and different type of guys. And, kind of looks at himself as the reason why you seen Harrison Barnes struggle in a way where he then has a big night against the Cavaliers. And, it is something that I talked about on the pregame show with Leo over there on his channel at Cowbell Kingdom. And that was a lot of fun to do. A lot of people are shooting for Harrison Barnes to be taken out of the starting lineup and is ready to throw in a KZ Okpala instead. And I said it on the pregame show, and I'll say it again here now. You can't give one player on this team a certain type of respect, let's say a De'Aaron Fox or a Kevin Huerter, and say, if they were struggling, let's give them 25 games to figure out their footing. And then look at a guy like Harrison Barnes and say after 9 games that you were ready to just go ahead and up and kick him out of the lineup. I personally don't see that as being a smart move. Harrison Barnes has missed some shots. You got to be honest about that. His defense has been a little bit up and down. But the type of professional that Harrison Barnes is. He's proven it every single year. When he steps on the court, he's a consummate professional. He's constantly doing the little things for you, and he's never truly going to hurt you. Currently, he's not shooting the ball very well. He found his role early. He found his rhythm early against the Cavaliers, and he had his best game of the season scoring-wise and honestly rebounding as well. He was a rebounder. He was a scorer. Throughout the first half, he was the team's leading scorer and the team's leading rebounder with 2 steals at that, just heading into the half, finished with his best game of the year. Look, it was a big win, and we can't deny that. It was a big win for the Sacramento Kings. I was lucky enough to be at that game, covering that game. Again, I did the pregame show over there with Leo Bias on his channel at Cowbell Kingdom. You guys can go check that out. We did that over at Darling on the rooftop. So downtown Sac, you'll be seeing a few pregame shows from us, which will be a lot of fun. A lot more stuff that I keep talking about with this show, the Kings Court, presented to you by SactownRoyalty.com. We got things that we're brewing up over here, and I'm so excited for you guys to see that at some point in the coming weeks of what we're developing here. So there is that. We're also going to be doing another Kings ticket giveaway, but here's the catch. We are not giving away any tickets until this YouTube channel / podcast channel gets up to 400 subscribers. We're right now currently at, I believe 360. So once we get that up to 400, we'll be giving away 2 tickets again here on this show. So just be sure that you're liking this, but hitting that like button, hitting that subscribe button, and really getting this show out there. Because once we get to 400 subscribers, we will be giving away tickets on this show to that next Kings game. Don't know which one yet. Just depends on you. You know what I mean? But the tickets will be out there. Shout out to our first winner. I didn't shout them out on the last show because I had Grant Napier on. Shout out to Grant, by the way. Having Grant on was so much fun. But I love seeing the pictures of you being at the game, and I'm glad you guys had a great time. The tickets are always going to be in section 207, row A. So you're right there in the first row, the second row, right above the Kings bench, and their seats 5 and 6. So you're right there in the middle of everything. You get to see the entire scoreboard, the Kings bench, the entire floor. It's a lot of fun. It's a great time. And again, it was great seeing a lot of you guys out there. Shout out to KC. Saw KC yesterday from the KC and D'Lo show on 1140. So again, I saw Leo. I saw a lot of you guys out there. So I shout out to all of you guys who noticed and recognized me heading into the game and things like that. It's a lot of fun saying hi to you guys. But again, back to the floor. Look, the Kings came out and they attacked everybody else. They said, Donovan Mitchell, you're going to be able to score. We're going to slow down everybody else. And it seemed that was going to be their game plan throughout the entire night. And it looked that it worked. In the moments that they were on the court, it looked like it worked. The problem is with that, when you do things like that, it opens the door for them to start finding their rhythm, the opposing teams finding their rhythm. Because the Kings at one point were up by 15 points in this game. It was a lot of scoring, a lot of, shots were just falling. Trey Lyles knocking down big three-pointer after big three-pointer. Malik Monk with one of the best blocks of the season coming up behind Jared Allen, getting a big block, and then to get the ball in return for an open three-pointer. Man, that was a fun play. A lot of fun action. But again, it was leaving that door open and letting a team like the Cleveland Cavaliers, who's number 2 in the East right now, have the chance to come back. And at one point in the fourth quarter, go up by as much as 6 points. That's where I have a little bit of the struggles. But again, all around, everybody in the starting lineup finished with double-digit scoring. Everyone had double-digit scoring on that team. You had Harrison Barnes finish with 20 points and 9 rebounds. He was the team's second leading scorer behind only Domantas Sabonis, who had 21, 5, and 6. Keegan Murray had 14 points with 2 steals. He actually was really good overall in the night, kind of just found his role, stuck with his role. He had a big task trying to guard Evan Mobley, and Evan Mobley did his thing, but at the same time, keeping him to 16 points after Mobley just exploded for 20-plus points the game prior against the Clippers, I was honestly nervous about that matchup, and I felt Keegan did a really good job. He did hit 4 3-pointers in that game. Again, shots were just falling for them. Sabonis at 21, 5, and 6. Kevin Huerter had another 14 points. He's just been stellar in his starting role for the Sacramento Kings. And then De'Aaron Fox finishes with 15 points and 8 assists, 3 steals to go along with it while shooting 6 of 14 from the field. He did get 1 3-pointer in out of the 4 attempts that he put up. Look, Fox isn't always going to be the primary scorer, and this is where you're going to want to see the team step up in those moments where Fox can't get you to 20-plus points per night. When they're closing in on him and they have twin towers down there and he can't get to the basket as much as he wants to, it was nice to see the shots falling. The question for me that I have is, when the shots aren't falling and you're not capable of knocking down the open three, because there's going to be those moments where you can't. You have to be able to build an identity defensively, and that's where I'm going to give out this first grade, because we are calling this grading the Kings through 10 games. So I'm looking at them both offensively, defensively, bench starters, things like that. That's how I'm going to be grading them. So a little bit at a time, like a little bit of a report card. So if we're looking at defense first, for me, that's where the Kings' biggest identity question mark is. And I have to give their defense a straight F. A straight F. I'm not going to be nice and say it's a D- or D+, almost a C. No, it's a straight F. You can't expect a team to be a playoff contending team, a play-in contending team, if they're giving up 30 points a quarter. They gave up last night 29 points in the first, 29 points in the second, 35 points in the third, and then their best quarter was the fourth at 27. Look, I'm okay saying that the Kings are giving up 27 points or less per quarter. That would put them right there in the top 12 in defensive efficiency. That's not a bad place to be. That's where if you're going to take a next step forward, making those big strides on the defensive end is where you do it. Currently they're ranked 25th. Last season, they finished with one of the worst defensive ratings in NBA history, and they were 27th in the NBA. They went up 2 spots, and their defense has not improved at all. Just the 2 teams below them are just not that good either. That's the only difference. So that's where I have my biggest concern with them is just defensively, what are they as a team? Who are they as a team, and who's gonna step up and get stops? And it could be an obvious thing where it's like maybe they just can't be a good defensive team with the players that they have. Maybe Sabonis can never really be a lockdown defender. He's too big. He's a bit of a tank. He's good positionally if it's a post player, but you put him in a pick and roll, or you have him guarding out there on the perimeter, he's probably going to get beat. So that's probably a big question mark there. Kevin Huerter is not a good defender. I tried telling everybody. Everyone was talking about how he can play the 2 or the 3. Maybe because he's tall. That's the only reason why people thought that. But I watched him in Atlanta. He is not a good defender. That Atlanta Hawks team was not a good defensive team. De'Aaron Fox is getting better, but I like that Mike Brown in the presser yesterday talked about how it's on him to be that leader, both offensively and defensively. And he did that. Defensively, he locked in on Darius Garland. Darius Garland had one of his worst games since coming back from that eye injury. He only finished with 6 points and 8 assists, but he was 1 for 9 from the field. 1 for 9 from the field for Darius Garland, who was putting up 20 and 8 easily every single night since coming back from that injury. Those big stops down the stretch mattered. But again, I wrote about it in my column this week for Sacktown. Again, Sacktown Royalty, thanks for presenting the show. Look, I'm tired of using the word potential. You can't keep using that word. When the season started, I did this show, and everyone came on here talking about this Kings team is a playoff team. This Kings team has playoff potential. Okay, well then what's the potential? If they are firing on all cylinders, what is their potential? What give me some type of team that you can compare them to when this team is playing at their full potential. They're not the Memphis Grizzlies. They don't have the athleticism for it. They're not the Golden State Warriors. They don't have the jump shooting for it. So, what team are they? Give me some type of comparison. That's something that I need to know. But again, in key moments, they found ways to get stops. I really liked what I saw from the Kings, at least offensively, but these are the things that I don't expect to see very often. Trey Lyles going 5 for 9 from the field, 4 for 7 from 3-point range. That's the big thing. That's the big thing. 4 for 7 from 3-point range from Trey Lyles. This was hands down his best game of the season. Malik Monk, man, has really found his role coming off the bench. He really has. I love finally seeing him being like a Lou Williams for this team. Being a Lou Will for this team is a lot of fun to watch and the energy that he brings really gets the crowd going. It was nice being there and actually feeling that energy as soon as he steps in. But yeah, man, Malik Monk, 14 points and 5 assists, showcasing his passing ability once again. He went 4 for 9 from the field, and again, 3 3-pointers. He went 3 for 5. There's just so many shots getting knocked down by a lot of players that you wouldn't really expect it. Chimezie Metu got his 12 minutes. Players that we didn't see that I think a lot of people are starting to get surprised on. You didn't see any Terrence Davis. You didn't see any Rashawn Holmes. And I thought we were going to see Rashawn Holmes. I really did. I thought Mike Brown would look at Rashawn Holmes in this matchup and say, hey, let's see what you can do facing off against a Jared Allen or an Evan Mobley. But he stuck to his guns. He stuck to a Keegan Murray. And he stuck to Trey Lyles, which is surprising. And he said, hey, body up. Let's do it. I really think it was just the jump shooting, though. I think they were okay giving up 2 for 3. And the shots were just dropping. That was the big thing, was they were willing to give up the 2 points from Evan Mobley or Jared Allen, knowing that they were going to extend the floor on the offensive end. But that's why I have to give that defense an F. Because you are banking on your offense to be so successful that I truly can't. I can't look at this team and saying they're making strides forward to being that playoff team without seeing them making a stand defensively. And I'm watching the Blazers a lot because that's the team that they get compared to quite a bit or going to be in competition with once the season kind of starts wearing down, although the Blazers are just playing out of their mind. But the Blazers do something very interesting on defense where they will literally trick you into thinking what type of defense that they're running and then switch it up real quick. So, for example, they'll start a game off in zone. And in that zone, they'll, 2-3 zone. They'll switch it to a shell where then from the 2-3, it transitions into a 3-2. But they're consistently staying in that 2-3 and really closing out in certain areas. But then 3 possessions later, they switch to a man. They'll go man for a full 2 minutes, 3 minutes, then switch back to the zone. So you're never knowing when you're safe when you're the offensive team. That is something that I thought Mike Brown would want to try and see how Sabonis does in his zone, maybe as a help side defender. Just because you keep putting him in these pick and roll spots, and he's been such a big disappointment defensively to where it's more obvious every game just how he can't be out there. Is Murray out of his rookie funk? I mean, maybe. I think with the rookies, it's they're going to miss shots, they're going to make shots. It is what it is. He's a shooter, shoot. He'll find his legs. I'm not too worried about Murray at all. And then this other one, hey, Zach TU blowing up the chat, brother. I appreciate you. At least Harrison Barnes didn't disappear, right? I mean, second leading scorer in the game. And I still want Ben Simmons. Look, I like Ben Simmons. I was one of the leaders of the go get Ben Simmons train. I was huge on Ben Simmons. And if there's a chance to buy low on him now, I definitely want to pursue that. But I feel as if maybe that's not the fit here. I mean, I get that defense makes sense. I mean, what the options that are out there to make this team better is pretty slim to none, to be honest. There's not too much out there. I would love to see a Ben Simmons in Sacramento. I just, depending on what you'd have to give up to acquire him. Is it a Harrison Barnes and a first? Okay, that's something I would think about. But I don't know what that really does for this team, and and how often he'll even be on the floor. That's a big thing. I was talking with the guys yesterday, and a question keeps coming up, which is, what would you do to get Anthony Davis if that was available? Like, would you give up a Sabonis for an Anthony Davis? For me, I still stand by my yes. Like, I would do that in a heartbeat. I would do anything to get Anthony Davis. My thing is I don't want to give up Sabonis in those type of trades. Like, a lot of people are saying give up Sabonis and some picks. I would say give up your rookies and some picks. Let the Lakers get their youth back, and you get a veteran, and you're building around a big three now that is Fox, Anthony Davis, and Domantas Sabonis, and see where that goes. I would do something like that. And then another story came out, and shout out to, I believe, Jordan, who wrote this for us over at Sacktown Royalty, talking about, hey, Boogie Cousins says he wants to help the Kings get to the playoffs. I mean, I think it'd be more so fan service if Boogie Cousins comes to Sacramento. Don't you? Like, what Boogie comes back, crowd goes crazy. Crowd would go crazy if Boogie Cousins came back to Sacramento. I'll be honest, I just don't see what he helps this team with. And then I thought about this. I'm okay with him taking Trey Lyles minutes. If they're going to keep playing Trey Lyles these heavy minutes, I would rather see Boogie Cousins in that role. If they're not looking to add any more defense to this team, they want just another 15-minute, 20-minute player that's going to get you, some three-pointers and some rebounds. I would rather see Boogie over Trey Lyles. But again, it would just be I personally don't think it's something that the Kings should pursue. It doesn't make this team better. It would just be a fan service play, a fan service addition, but yeah, I don't think I don't think Boogie Cousins in Sacramento makes too much sense. Boogie is a cancer. I'm sorry. Look, man, I get it. A lot of people still will never forget what Boogie did here in Sac. Look, there's greatness there in Sac. I don't think his numbers should be retired anywhere, but I do appreciate what he was able to do in making the Kings competitive, especially when they started building around him. Let's see what this one is. This is from Matthew. It says he didn't even work in the tempo game before, remember? Oh, yeah, I remember. Again, he looked, look, I'll say this. He looked good in Denver. I liked him in that behind Jokic. If he wants to play in that Trey Lyles role where it's, and again, it gives the Kings a different look. Like if I have to make arguments for Boogie, I can, and where I could see him be on the floor. But I tend to agree with you guys. Like I don't think Boogie is a real acquisition or a real option for the Kings. There's no real point. He would be sitting on the bench right next to Alex Len and Rashawn Holmes. Would it be nice to hear it? Would it be nice to see Boogie Cousins back on that bench? The crowd would go crazy. You would hear chants like you would hear chants for Jim or Fredette. His name would just be out on the floor. You know what I mean? It'd be something like that. Let's see. We're not closing out this broadcast yet, guys. I just got to pay the bills a little bit. Got to do a commercial break. So give me 15 seconds. Let's see this commercial from Rate Crushers, and I'll be right back. And we are back. Shout out to everyone that's joining us here on this show, The King's Court, presented to you by SactownRoyalty.com. If you guys are looking for any type of insurance, be sure to do me a huge favor and go out to our sponsor, RateCrushers.com. They're beating up the competition up to 35%. You guys let them know that The King's Court sent you. And there's even another discount in there for you. So go over to RateCrushers.com for all of your insurance needs and let the brokers over there take care of you and crush your current rate. As I continue down this list here, we got to continue down because I want to keep giving out these grades. So the first grade I gave out was an F for their defense. And it's obvious. There's no way you can give this team less than an F or anything better than, I should say, an F after the play that you've seen through these first 10 games. It's horrible. Looking on the offensive side. Now let's get a little bit brighter. Offensively, it started off a bit slow. Offensively, this team started off a bit slow. It was very confusing on the fact that they have not really tried to utilize the Ox and the Fox pick and roll. I don't understand why they still aren't utilizing it as much as I figured that they would, being it was the Kings' best weapon to end last season. However, you've got to see this development between Herter and Sabonis, which has been kind of nice, and maybe that's where it's building up into, where now you have more floor spacing when you do a pick and roll with uh, Sabonis and Herter. But I still miss the Ox and the Fox high side pick and roll. It just made a lot more space, and it made teams stay on their heel, and they couldn't really get balanced when the Kings were moving that fast, and having Sabonis being right there by the 3-point line, giving Fox all that room to move downhill. So they moved away from that. They're still doing a lot of space and pace, but you're seeing a lot more off-ball movement. And maybe that comes with that slow development that Mike Brown talked about during his coaching seminar, where it says it takes guys a little while to figure out what I'm trying to run here. And look, you have to say something for the fact that the Kings have been in most of their games. They haven't truly gotten blown out yet, in a point to where it's like, okay. I mean, they were getting blown out by the Warriors, redeemed themselves, got it within a 2-possession game. 2 out of the 4 games on their road trip ended in controversy. They close out against the Cavs. The Portland game, I mean, that's that first game. It's a little confusing. Look, I think you have to give this Kings team for offense. If I had to give them a grade, it would probably be like a C+. If I'm being honest, it hasn't looked great. It really hasn't, but it's starting to get better. 3 days ago, a week ago, I might say it was even like closer to like a C. But now, I mean, you're kind of starting to see the bits and pieces of what Mike Brown is trying to do offensively. You're seeing a lot more off-ball movement. I think C+ is a good number, or is a good grade. It's right there where, okay, you're seeing the pieces and you can start developing, continuing to develop. What's it going to look like in 20 games when they have this system down? The refs hate the Kings. Refs, you suck. We shall talk about these refs. Look, man, the refs are the refs. I didn't understand how you can't use a challenge in last night's game. That could have jeopardized a lot of things. You call a timeout to use the challenge, and then they said that you can't challenge that play because it wasn't called. For some reason, I can't remember the exact reasoning why the ref said that they couldn't use their challenge. And then to make the Kings use their timeout, that was such an interesting take from the referees there. And then again, yeah, I mean, I'll reiterate what I said on the pregame show. The refs getting these 2-minute reports out, I'm over the 2-minute reports. Like, it's nice to hear, and I told you so every once in a while. And that's all the 2-minute report is. The 2-minute report is literally just the NBA confirming what you've already been saying, right? I told you so. I told you so. I told you it was a foul. But you know what? It doesn't do it. You still have an asterisk. You still don't have an asterisk next to that L. It doesn't change it into a W. They don't reschedule the game for later. So it doesn't do anything but give fans an I told you so. And that's really, and maybe it's mainly just due to the fact that you have the refs that were betting the Donahue stuff going on, and this makes the NBA and fans look at the refs that are doing these type of calls. I get it. But it doesn't take away the fact that the Kings have been jeopardized a bit by the refs. But the refs are a part of the game. Fox came late yesterday in the fourth quarter. You know, I'm okay with what they did. I think more so, I would have liked him sooner. I agree with you. But Davion was playing good defense. It was at one of those points where, like, if Davion didn't get a stop, I was asking the entire time, why isn't Fox in the game? But every time Davion did get a stop, I was like, okay. Whew. So I was breathing a sigh of relief every time you saw Davion's good defense there in the fourth. But I agree with you. He came in a bit late, and that could have gone either way. It literally could have gone either way on if Davion would have, or if Fox should have been in sooner rather than later. So it's nice that Mike Brown trusted Davion to get there. I did the pregame show here on this channel as well, like saying the Kings were +4. But this was also a game where the refs could try to make it up after giving back-to-back losses to the Kings. And I'm not saying the Kings were going to win if they went to overtime against the Warriors, but you have to give the team a chance. I took the Kings +4 yesterday, if that makes you guys feel any better. But I hedged, and I also bet a lot more on the Cavs, so I lost money more than anything. Again, guys, you guys are listening to the Kings Court presented to you by SacktownRoyalty.com. I appreciate everyone that's in the chat. Sack T, Matthew, you guys, keep hitting that like button. Share this video if you can. We are going to be doing another ticket giveaway here on the show. All you guys got to do is get us up to 400 subscribers here on the YouTube channel, and we'll be giving out another set of tickets to a future game. So be sure to keep subscribing if you haven't done so already and hitting that like button. So the grade so far, we give the defense an F. We give the offense a C+. I think I'm going to give the coaching a C+ as well. I don't think you can do anything better than a C+ on most of these grades. I'm just being 100% honest with you. Except for this. De'Aaron Fox, I'm giving him an A. I'm giving Fox an A for his play. Can he be better in certain areas? Yeah. Like, he didn't get 100% on this test. But through 10 games, the guy's been a stud. This guy has been playing at an all-star level. The turnovers have come down since that one bad game where I believe he had like 8 turnovers. But look, he was solid. He's been solid all season. Domantas Sabonis, I'm going to give him a C. I want to continue to see him improving. Kevin Huerter has been a B+. He was doing really good for a large stretch. I thought he was going to be an A. He's fell off. He's now at the B+ level. But you're seeing his role, and I like it a lot. Same thing with Malik Monk. Malik Monk's at a B. He struggled to find his role through these first 10 games, but over the last 4 to 5, he's really picked it up, and I love the role that he's kind of finding himself in right now. So I'm going to give him just an honest B. Davion has been a D. Rashawn Holmes has been an F. Harrison Barnes has been an F. But there's time to improve. It's only 10 games, guys. 10 whole games. And the Kings have the potential still. They're not out of it to make the playoffs. But I'll be honest, until they start making that change defensively, and until they are able to really find an identity, not just on one side of the floor, but both, they're always going to be a team questionable to even be a play-in team. Remember, heading into the season, confidence was there. There was some stuff in your chest when you were saying that the Kings are going to the playoffs. But you can't say that right now when this Kings team has a lot more grades that they need to improve on. But it's only been 10 games. They're 4-6. We knew that it was going to be a tough struggle to start out. They're 2 games under 500. I'm not willing to give up yet the idea that this Kings team is that team that could, break the streak. They're 1 game back of the Minnesota Timberwolves for that current 10th seed right now. So the potential is there. This is a tough 5-game stretch. I even said it in the column as well. I keep bringing up the column. You guys go check it out. SacktownRoyalty.com. These next 5 games, and the Warriors was one of them, they're facing off against true talent. True talent. Yeah, the Warriors, you just beat the Cavs. You're going to get the Warriors again. You're going to get the Lakers. And then you're going to get the Brooklyn Nets. These are tough teams. These are real tests. And this will define a season right here. How you play against these types of talents. At home. You need to win when you're at home. And they took care of business against the Cleveland Cavaliers. If they can go 500 in this stretch, or finish above 500 through these 5 or 6 games, however you want to view it as a block, that's when you know what type of team you have. That's when you know if this team is a play-in team, a playoff team, anything like that. I'm tired of the word potential. It's time to start taking steps forward. All right, guys, that's going to be our show today. I want to thank you all who are listening in on this show, the Kings Score, presented to you by SacktownRoyalty.com and sponsored by RateCrushers.com. I've been your host today. My name is Vince Miracle. You guys can follow me on all social media platforms of @VM Center. Follow the website at Sacktown Royalty on Twitter. I got a weekly column that comes out every single Monday. I'm doing 2 to 3 articles every single week there on SacktownRoyalty.com. More big news on the way. Again, guys, we're going to be giving away tickets once again as long as this podcast / YouTube channel gets to 400 subscribers. So we're about 40 subscribers away to give away 2 tickets. That's it. 40 to the 400. We'll give away 2 tickets to the next Kings game once we reach that point. So again, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, share, like it, everything you guys need to do. And until next time, Sacramento Kings fans, bye-bye.